to introduce Omar Columbus, who is a U.S. Air Force veteran, and I've asked Omar if he would be nice enough today to give a spoken word performance of his incredible poem, The Camouflaged Heart.
Like she said, my name is Omar Columbus, and this is my poem, Camouflaged Heart. War makes humans human. Conflict is universal. From the beginning, there was war, before I was born and lifetimes afar. Battles rage as mankind ages, yet never learns from past mistakes or from stories of those who live to tell of what war remains, a living hell. I had never been more present than at that moment, standing there in a desert land, hearing a foreign language I could not understand. Camouflage dressed so that I could blend in. Desensitized to suffering and pain, only a camouflaged heart remained. A predator drone loitered above, waiting to dehumanize the enemy. With my weapon in hand, encircled by sand, requesting a drone strike, reports of Taliban. With drone sights locked on to an evading man, left his truck in the sand and away he ran. But with crosshairs locked on, the moving target engaged, the coordinates called in, hellfire missiles rained. Dust and blood splattered and settled, my life forever changed. You see, it's the things you can't see that hurt me the most. Only a camouflaged heart remains. I'm no longer a warrior, now a veteran, seeking renewal and transitioning to peace. But still, dreams of war knock at my door. I try not to let them in. They invade, they conquer, they win. My willingness to do whatever to do outweighed my fear to die. But searching for weapons of mass destruction turned out to be a damn lie. And the guilt that comes from surviving, isolating, comrades did not make it back alive, hyperventilating, my nightmares evolve into daymares. No one sees, no one cares. What I've experienced, what I've done. I was once an asset, now a liability. Medicate the veteran. Keep him numb. In a country broken into pieces, currently, I see no peace. I'm constantly worried about mankind because the next man may not be kind. I deployed in defense of a nation and returned home to unemployment and discrimination. And for walking while black, I've been stopped and frisked 3 times, racial profiling, the determination. I went from military to civilian, lost in translation. My world flipped upside down, forced reintegration. From prior discipline to post-stressed with deteriorated motivation, as I watch elected officials continually disrespect our veterans, oh, the ultimate humiliation. And after 12 years of honorable service, I wake up daily, a black man in America feeling nervous. And yes, I'm still in pain. You just can't see it because only a camouflaged heart remains. Thank you.
Good morning. Today we're at the VetArt pop-up cafe on the west steps of the Capitol building here in Sacramento. And we're interviewing Army veteran, Vietnam combat veteran, Dave Fernandes. Dave, we've talked to you before. And today I'd like to talk to you about your beautiful photography, and if you could explain to our audience the techniques you use to create your photography.
Okay, these are my photographic prints printed in the G-clay process on 20 by 30 canvas prints. I have a little bit of everything. I like abstract, and I also like flowers. During the COVID shutdown, I was on, I'm in a 12-step program, and we'd have AA Zoom meetings, and I did a lot of flowers at that time. They called me, since you won't believe this, but I'm from the 60s, and so I did a lot of flowers, and they called me Flower Power Dave. And then from that, I went in. I wasn't doing photography for a long time, but I've been into it for really heavy the last year since I've been at the Veterans Home in Yountville. This is from my daughter's garden, Marissa, and it was her bounty. She's an urban guerrilla gardener. And then my granddaughter and my granddaughter Frankie, they do a process on tiles. And when I looked at the tiles, I actually used my phone on these, and I went around the tile and found a section that I really like, and I photographed it, and then I blew it up. That was that, and that's also from that process. And this is from the process too, also, I mean. And then this is some of my psychedelic art, and it's from an old piece of farm equipment, and I just blew it up and did some texture to it, and I like that. And
so Dave, let's go back to this piece over here and tell me, how long does it take for you to make that?
Well, actually, all I did was I photographed it, and then I don't do a lot of Photoshop, but there is a paint process that I can do it, and I just like the effect that it did. It looks like a floating star, Death Star. and little flakes of the yellow gold, that was the front of the cab of the farm equipment, and with the Ford emblem, hood emblem on it.
And
really
I just like the way it comes. 3D effect to it.
Pardon?
It really does have that 3D
Yeah.
effect to it. Just pops out on the screen.
Yeah, and my printer basically, he wanted straight lines, and I don't like straight lines. So I had him print it like this, and so anyways, yeah, and then this is my friend's goat, and I gave him a copy of that, from one old goat to another old goat.
Now that's funny.
And this, I get only about 2 people guessed that this is turkey feathers. And what I did was I took a picture of the turkey, and then I blew it up and I moved it around, because it came out, I like the soft focus. And mainly they knew the feathers because if anybody knows a turkey, you can tell by this. Can't always tell by that. And then this is chalk art on my sidewalk when my granddaughter was 4 years old. So she's Frankie Fitzgibbon.
That's great.
And
I would not have guessed that, Dave.
4 years old. Yeah, and she's much older than that now. So anyways, that's my stuff, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great to see you again.
Good to see you.
So
Go
much.
Gators, huh?
off. All you squeakies, there you go, everybody else. Come on, bring it up, come on. Make some noise, let's go. Come on. Now we'll go. 1, 2, 3, and a 4, and a 1, 2, 3, and a 4, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4. Keep it coming. Don't want to hear that noise.
in Sacramento at the state capitol. And we are interviewing veteran artists who are here showing their art with VetArt Pop-Up Cafe.
Yeah.
So I'd like to introduce Sidney Tuggerson Jr.
Yes.
And Sidney, can you tell me a little bit about your military experience? And I see by your shirt you were in the Marine Corps. What
Yes.
did you do when you were in?
Yes, I enlisted in the Marines in 1966, August of 1966. I got over to Vietnam in 1967. I served over in Vietnam for 14 months. Left out of Vietnam, came back to North Carolina, which I served there for about 9 months. And then I left there and went up to Washington, D.C., which I was in Washington, D.C. with President Nixon, served under him. And then from Washington, D.C., I went back to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, which I stayed a couple of months. From there, I left and went to Hawaii, which I stayed about 3 years there. I was a MP there and was a rifle instructor in small arm weaponry.
So Sidney, how long was your military career in the Marine Corps?
Well, it was about 7 years and about 6 months. Yeah.
So why did you get out of the Marine Corps?
Well, I got out of Marine Corps because they wouldn't give me what I wanted. And what I wanted was to be in their art department, or graphic arts or something like that. So they would never issue that to me. So I had issue with that because I re-upped one time and I changed my MOS. And so they had said, well, oh, okay, you can't get it. And so I said, okay, if I can't get it, then I'm out of here. They said, well, okay, we'll promote you to staff sergeant and give you something else. And I said, okay. I had about 3 months left in the service, and they wanted to send me back to Vietnam again. So at that time, I was going to Okinawa. So with 3 months left in the service to go to Okinawa, they're going to promote me to staff sergeant and give me an extra bonus. And I said, no, I don't want the extra bonus. If you can give me something in the art department, I'll stay in. So they said, no, we can't give you that. So I said, get out.
So, okay, thank you for explaining why you got out. So the Marines lost out,
Yeah,
but you gained your independence
yeah.
as a civilian. So did creating your art help you deal with your PTSD that you experienced when you were in the
Yes, I
military?
said it did help me when I was younger because I was artist before I went into service, and that helped me along the way. So I was creating art the whole time I was in the service and doing that, and I was going to school when I was in and out. Wherever I was my duty station, I would try to get into an art course or something like that to help me out. But through the art and what art does for you, it kept me lined up and kept me true to myself and stuff doing my art. So I say within that, it helped me out a lot. You know, it helped me out a lot doing that. So, but in this, to say that it helped me a lot, I didn't really realize it until I came known with other veterans that was in the art field, that was doing art. And it was helping them out. Because I was artist all the time and creating art, I never thought it was in there to help me. But I guess I was grounded the whole time, you know, because I was also into art. Now that I look at it back in retrospect, it helped me out a lot. But now, as I get older, a lot of this stuff, we acquaint myself with the time that I was in now.
Now to me, what your favorite piece of art is that you brought
Yes.
and why it's so important to
Yes,
you?
this is butterfly eyes, and
What this art means to you?
well, this piece here mean to me is when I was over in Vietnam, and it's I call it butterfly eyes because it me and the unit that I served with, and at that time there was a lot of butterflies around and stuff like that. But it's also was it was troubling times at that time. It was in and out of assaults and all kinds of stuff. And at that time it was like about 2,500 us went over there in Vietnam, and then I found out on the way back only 500 of us survived. And at the time of the war, you know, you have decaying bodies and all laying around, but the butterflies were always around.
Good morning. Today we're in Sacramento at the State Capitol building, and we're interviewing Vietnam veteran. He's a combat veteran of the Special Forces, and he's an incredible artist, John Nesbitt. So, John, I have 3 questions I'd like to ask you today.
Yes, ma'am.
And because I know you and I know your incredible story, as a Vietnam combat veteran, I know you suffered from exposure to Agent Orange, but also PTSD. So how has art, creating your beautiful art, how has that helped you to cope with PTSD?
Well, first is that the things that go through my mind that were negative had images. And as long as they had images, I was able to either sketch, draw, or do some watercolor at the beginning. So the more I tried to express my negative and get it out from me, other people were saying to me, I like your colors, I like the way you draw. Then I got positive feedback. The positive feedback then led to a continual effort in art to have other people take a look at what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and giving me a positive feedback from that.
I know you've been an art teacher for a long time. So
Yes,
how long
ma'am.
have you taught art?
I've-
And this is kind of a 2-part question. So not only how long have you taught art, how do you teach it to prisoners or veterans so they can better cope with their own out of control emotions?
Okay. I taught art at least for 25 years. And in that time, veterans, people from prison need to go back and understand who they are first. In other words, why in your post-traumatic, the level of trauma that you receive is based on the kind of life you've lived. If you've lived in New York City, your trauma is handled in a different way than if you lived on a farm. And if you lived on the farm, the trauma is a little bit heavier. If you lived in New York City, you come and deal with things and pass them off in a minute. Like an example would be the dog that I had got killed, run over in New York City at 10 o'clock in the morning. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I had a new dog. My friend who's had a farm, when his dog got killed, the family had a prayer. They talked about him over the dinner table. They waited another week and then they got another dog. So how people deal with their particular trauma a lot of times has to do with the level of activity and behavior that they have at the end of their day.
Well, you kind of answered the question, but I'm going to ask it in a different way. This is the 3rd question. How do you, as an art teacher, persuade the people that you are teaching, whether they're veterans or incarceration, to turn that negative, emotional, dark energy into something positive, lifting, and filled with light? How do you teach that?
Well, one thing is that I show people some of the things that I paint and I draw. If they like that, then they themselves want to get that same skill. But discussing the different levels of pain that you experience in your life has to do with how you express yourself in art. This way you're not expressing yourself in behavior, because post-traumatic stress disorder, the disorder is behavior, and most people don't relate behavior to disorder. So what's happening is that you're out doing things that you don't necessarily approve of, but yet you're doing things that's disorder. So if you can try to bring back the pain that you do and express it in the form of art, then other people can, one, relate to your pain, two, forgive your pain, three, can look at how they can express their pain themselves as young artists. So it's setting an example by myself of what I've had to go through and how I use art, and if they like my art, then that influences them to try to plan or play some art themselves.
Okay, John, can you tell me which one of these paintings you have on display today is your favorite painting, and why, and what inspired you to create it?
Well, one, this painting here is one of my favorites because I have ocean animals here, I have the nature and space here, because I combine the three things of ocean or water, land, and space. If I do that, the space factor is when I get off on my own and I can deal with my own pain. The earth factor is other people, and the ocean factor is when I can go out and look at the ocean, go swimming, and use water as a healing tool. So this painting right here has done a lot of things good for me based on the environment that I'm experiencing, while this one guy right here is looking, and he's got a couple of little buddies over here who's represented, so that nature is represented in a good way. This painting is winter, and I struggle with winter sometimes because of the cold, because my natural blood temperature is 97.8, not 98.6. So when I'm in the jungle and people are burning up, I'm okay. But the minute it gets chilly out here, I'm freezing. So this I painted as a positive-negative relationship to what's happening in my life.
Margaret, it's great to see you today up at the Capitol in Sacramento. Could you please introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about your military experience? And also, I would really like it if you could showcase some of your art and tell us about these magnificent pieces.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. And my name is Margaret Abdullaev, and I actually have an African name because I was born on Wednesday. My name is Ekua. So for those that would like to use that, it's okay. Now, I served in the Marine Corps. I did a short time inside in the Marines. Okay, I was stationed in 29 Palms and in Camp Pendleton. And then from there, I became a civilian again.
Margaret, could you tell us about your beautiful art and tell us what compelled you to start creating this? Now, I've known you for a while now, so I know your story, but I would like for you to pick out one or two pieces and tell us why you made them and why they're so important to you, their significance to you.
Well, thank you for asking. I have been inspired by cowrie shells, and these are cowrie shells. And I've always had such a, I've been drawn to them, and here's a cowrie shell before I work on it. Okay, so I end up cutting them, and when I do, I'm creating what I call medicine bags. And I have Zen as this in the medicine bags. And in there there is a space behind each shell that gives you the ability to place a affirmation note or a gemstone or something that you would call medicine, something that would remind you of your healing and maybe give you a happy thought when you touch it or remind yourself. And so I've been doing this for quite some time, and I make them not necessarily to sell, it's more to share. So whenever I would come across someone that I felt I would love to gift it to, I would give them what I call a medicine bag. It is a story. Each one tells a story of what I was thinking. These are actually physical thoughts. That's what I call them, physical thoughts.
That you've manifested into something.
Right, exactly. This is what I was thinking. I'm thinking, wow, I wonder what that would look like if I put this around it. Or, for example, I have copper around this one and this one as well. And in back of each one of them is a little place where you can put your little treasure. And I could do this all day. I can do this just about every day because I get a lot of pleasure out of it. So every piece, I can safely tell you that they were made while I was feeling happy, while I was in a state of joy. And every piece made me happy as I finished it. I'm like, oh, that is wonderful. Oh, let me add this to it. I'll put beads on it. I'll put something that just I think would be someone else would enjoy. And then I would make sure that in the back you have a way to hide your little treasure. So that is the story of my medicine bag. I'm inspired by Africa, and Africa inspires me.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have another piece that you would like to talk about? I'm thinking maybe that walking stick you have right there.
Yes.
Which is quite magnificent looking, and it kind of looks like you.
Yeah, I suppose it is representing me. Look at she's standing straight and tall and proud, and she is confident. And she also has a baby. She represents fertility and prosperity, wealth and abundance, okay? And she has a little baby that she carries because she's nurturing as well. So what happens when you nurture something? Something grows from that. And then this is the product of what has grown from it. I think in my mind tells me that.
Well, Margaret, your art is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. It's one-of-a-kind art. And I thank you for the opportunity to tell your story. So thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
My name is Kevin Patterson. I am an artist. As you can see here, this is all my art. I was in the Air Force back in the 80s as a 462. And if you don't know what a 462 is, I will leave that for you to find out. But it was nothing to do with art, trust me. But I got certified as an artist because I knew that was my calling in life. And I needed to have the ability to get centered. A lot of artists you're going to see here are learning how to heal from the artwork. I allowed the Air Force to heal me as an artist into a real human being, I'm going to call it. A human that could understand the world was bigger than creativity. I got to travel the world doing artwork with being on the flight line for pilots and for all the different AMUs I did artwork for, and for wing commanders even. So let me show you here real quick. This is artwork that is done digitally nowadays. But this artwork is what it would look like when I had airbrushed it. So I'm bringing a old frame style of artwork into something that someone can do today if you take the time. It may be considered digital, but I do it by hand. I don't let anything AI take care of my artwork, because if you take AI and let it do it, it's going to look like the last person that did AI, because it can only do so many calculations. This is my artwork because it's all my hand. Let me show you one other quick thing. This is the line work that you're going to see. This is what you have to do. If you want to express yourself, express you. Make yourself something that you're proud of, that this is what it's going to look like, and then finish it off, because people will know, hey, listen, this is a person that can create something. They're going to come into a booth like this that you're going to do, and they're going to say, oh, this is your artwork. I love it, because every time I see it, I know it's you. And I think that's what you need to do, is establish something that's you, because then you're going to enjoy it, you're going to love it, it's going to be part of who you are, and it's going to make you motivated to get up the next day and say, oh, I got to be creative. But still live in the real world. Don't be somebody that's so creative you don't have a place to live in the world.
Sacramento with the VetArt pop-up cafe in downtown Sacramento, actually at the Capitol building itself. And today we're going to interview George, who is a Navy veteran, and he's actually going to talk about the impact of being a resident at the Veterans Home in Redding, and how that's changed not only his life, but the community that is formed there, especially the Redding Veterans Home Jam Band.
Yes.
George?
Yeah, the Veterans Home is a wonderful place. One of the few good decisions I think I've ever made in my life was moving in there 8 years ago. You know, music is my passion, so being there, I've been able to write a couple of grants to bring entertainment in. First year, I bought a dozen ukuleles and taught some of the residents how to play ukuleles. The next year, I rewrote the grant, asked them what they wanted to do. They said, let's have a band. So we put together a veterans band. We practice every Thursday. We play for happy hour. These guys all think they're rock and roll stars. I think the average age is about probably 90, somewhere in 90. This guy right here is 102 years old, plays the harmonica. So, you know, they're having a lot of fun. We've got a fellowship between the band members. It's improves everybody's mental health. The residents love the band. They sing along with us when we play. So, you know, it's a wonderful place. If you're ever thinking about getting old and retiring, consider the Redding Veterans Home. It's a beautiful place. It's like a 5-star hotel living there.
What surprised, here's a question for you. Living at a veterans home, what was your conception of that before you went in?
Well,
and then, hang on a second.
Okay.
How did your perception change with reality, since you're describing it pretty much like a resort?
Yes, that's the way I refer to it. I call it the Veterans Resort and Spa. But it's a beautiful place. Yeah, my concept, I had been there playing music. I'm on the board of directors for the California State Old Time Fiddlers, and we would perform there for the residents. And the activity director there invited me. They were opening up a wing for independent living. I checked it out. A month later, I was living there, and that's when it was brand new. You have to wait a little bit longer now probably to get in. There's a waiting list, but it was a good decision. I've never looked back and regretted that I moved there.
Well, very good. Thank you for the interview.
You bet. Thank you for interviewing me.
Hi, Phyllis. It's great to see you again.
Thank you.
I've known you for a long time. And I really would like to say congratulations are in order because of this painting you recently completed. And can you give me the title of your painting?
Yes, it's called From Within of Below Depths. From Within the Below Depths.
And it really is a beautiful painting. And I know recently, you're from the Los Angeles area, so I know recently you submitted this to a VA contest.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that contest and what happened with this painting?
Oh, yes. It's an honorable contest that happens annually every year. It's called the Creative VA Arts Festival Competition. And one of the wonderful recreational therapists named Bruce Garrett handles that every annual event. And I had the honor to participate, submit my submission art from within the great depths, which is all about the living world of deep within the ocean and how amazed I am as an artist, and I wanted to convey the powerful life that is ever being discovered from the depths of the ocean. It seems like every 3 to 6 months, life energy is often found that is a new discovery that has us at odds to think about what else is down there, what unexplored territory is beneath the deep depths. So I had an idea of doing a surrealism effect of a great entity submerging up bubbling waters and a few tiny minuscule features, an eye, some wings, some claws, hands, and other magnificent gravity pulling of the deep waters into more strengthening bubbles and so forth. So that is my creation, and to my honor, I got the week later the notice that I won first place. And so it's going to the Nationals, and hopefully it will be, a reproduction will be on display at the Dulles International Airport, because they discovered it as they were watching the various selection of art won, and they said, if you make it to the Nationals, we would really like to exhibit the art. And if you don't make it, we would like to have it curated at our gallery area of Dulles International. So it's a win-win situation and honor to let the world know that us veterans and our art should be taken seriously, and we have it as an honor to have our art to motivate and to how art speaks to you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
You do wonderful work.
Thank you.
Phyllis.
Thank you.
Hi, Eugene.
Hi, how are you?
Nice to see you today.
Pleased to meet
We're
you
at the
as well.
VetArt Pop-Up Arts Cafe in Sacramento at the steps of the Capitol building.
Yes.
So we'd like to ask you who you are and which branch of the military that you served in.
My name is Eugene R. Rivera, and I served in the United States Army, 1979, 1987. I have 2 honorable discharges. How I feel about art is because it makes me express my innermost feelings about the world itself. I'm able to get out of my own skin, to make my creative juices flowing, such as my pants, such as my acrylic pours or fluid pours, and also my hats and my shirts as well. I've been doing art, abstract art, for about close to 10 years now at this time. And it really makes me go out of my head, also makes me feel better, and I'm free from all my worries in this world. I am free, and I love Sacramento. I would love to do this again and again and again. And I earnestly encourage anyone who don't know anything about art or anything like that to expand and profess yourself, as your creative juices will flow eventually. Just one little piece can make you untouchable when it comes to art and creativity, such as my own art and such as my own self. Is self-expression is art, and it really makes you feel alive. That's how I feel about art in general. And everybody should feel the same way.
Good morning, Sheryl. How are you?
Helen, nice to see you again.
I know, it's been many, many years working together, doing different things. What brings you to Sacramento today?
Well, today we're at the State Capitol building in Sacramento, and I'm part of the staff of VetArt.
Oh, okay.
And VetArt.org is this amazing nonprofit that's based in Vista, California, and they have a full-fledged studio there, and they have a ceramic studio there, and they teach veterans and family members of veterans different types of art. So today I'm in the Capitol, and I am one of the documentarians for VetArt.org because I got my dream job at the age of 75.
How did you get involved? Because I know for many, many years you were a vet representative, and you worked mainly with serving veterans, helping them find jobs and other resources.
Well, when the pandemic hit, I couldn't get to the Media Center studio in Palo Alto because it was closed down like everything and everywhere else around the world. So at the time, my friend Sandy D and I, we had been to UC Riverside, and we had production meetings over there with Tammy Thacker, who's the Veterans Resource Manager over there, and we were scheduled to film a documentary on campus. And then the week we were scheduled to film, they shut down the campus.
Oh.
So because we had an intern there, Richard Gonzalez, I called up Richard and I said, how do I do this if I can't get to the studio and I can't see people full time? So we figured out through Zoom video conferencing that we could do virtual interviews. So one of the virtual interviews that I did during that 2 years was an artist by the name of Phyllis Thomas. She's actually here today.
Oh,
and Phyllis and Tanya Sabis, who's an incredible artist as well, both of these ladies recommended me to Steve Dilley, who is the executive director of VetArt.org.
Okay.
And although he's had many people film for him throughout the years, they really liked the virtual interviews that I did.
Very good.
Phyllis had sent me an email and saying, we'd like to talk to you about this. And I wrote her back and said, well, I'm kind of on a fixed income and I can't really do this. And then she said, call Mr. Dilley. And I called him, and before he could get the second sentence out, he had already said yes. They had already wanted us to film. So we have actually done all the events throughout the state of California in the past year. So this is the 8th pop-up. And the goal here is to eventually have these pop-ups in every county in the state of California, so we can get to know the local artists, and the local artists can get involved with VetArt.org.
Okay, well, I've known you for many years, and before you did this, you were doing videos for Veterans Helping Veterans TV. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How did you get started with that?
Well, a long time ago, in my outreach to the veterans in San Mateo County, we had staff that was outstationed at the College of San Mateo. And they would often come into the office and they would say, Sheryl, we have these veterans on campus and they want to come into the office, but they don't really have the time to do that.
Right.
So I said, okay. So one of my partners and I, we made a pitch to the Mid-Penn Media Center in Palo Alto, and we said we would like to do this as an outreach to veterans at the College of San Mateo, so we could get them into the office one time, so if nothing else, if they weren't looking for a job, we could at least give them an overview of potential services that they may be eligible for.
That sounds pretty good. And you've been doing it ever since, providing
and I've been doing
services.
it ever since. And it's gone through, many changes. So now I'm not, what's incredible about the pandemic, it forced me to put up or shut up, so to speak.
Okay.
It forced me to either, the choices were, I'm going to give this up altogether, or I'm going to figure out how to keep it going. So I had earlier been in the LA County Museum of Art Veterans Make Movies program,
Okay.
where I did learn the basics of iPhone,
Right.
but where I really learned to do the editing was through this group that gave me, that saw the potential in me that I did not see in myself, okay, and gave me the opportunity to not just make mistakes and still accept our videos, but to give us creative, unlimited potential to practice whatever art we're trying to learn how to do. That is the gift that Steve Dilley gives to all of his artists, and this collective is the power to create without limitation.
And as I've found out many years of working as an occupational therapist, that healing through arts is the way to go. I originally went into occupational therapy because we use arts and crafts in rehab, and 50, 60 years ago, that's all we did. We use arts and crafts, and to see someone, heal through the process of working, doing something, putting things together. And, I've done everything from teaching them ceramics, leatherwork, to filmmaking, in fact. And I've gotten some of the veterans jobs working with CNN once they went through school, saw that they could do something. And I think that's the message you've been giving us, that you can do whatever. It's just learning what's possible, and then taking it from there.